because blessing. And I do blessing things, blessing. And when I do them, I always smile, because blessing makes the world go round. Yes, blessing makes the world go round. Nay! 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 In this video, I am going to be doing a painting of, I dropped it, this gouache illustration. Here, let me stand back some. This is a painting of a creature I created based off the Pokemon design of Mimikyu. I created this design because I was inspired by the fact that Pokemon turned 25 around the ending of last month. And Pokemon has been a part of my life for about 25 years. Probably a little bit less than that, because it's only like a few years younger than me, but you know, it didn't come to the States for, a while. I got addicted to the anime and stuff. But anyway, I created a Pokemon based off of the design of the Pokemon Mimikyu, which is one of my favorite Gen 7 Pokemon, though my favorite Pokemon of all time is Goomy from Gen 6, but I do enjoy Mimikyu, and I made my own creature because I used to do that when I was younger, and even now I create my own characters based off of creatures and stuff. And I have like my sketchbook from like the 4th grade where it just has a bunch of creatures that I was creating for my own like little universe because I was so inspired by Pokemon. Anyway, so we're going to be painting this, and I'm going to be hanging it up, and also I have a story to go along with this painting, because I'm going to try and start creating stories to go along with my paintings, the ones that aren't related to me trying to talk about like a blog or something that I, did in my life or whatever. So I have a little short, very, very short story that I wrote. I don't even know if it'd be considered a short story, but it's short, and I wrote it, and I do hope you piece those, enjoy it. And also, I'm obviously doing quite a bit of improv and a bit more performative stuff, and I just really hope you piece those, enjoy it, and we're going to be hanging it up. But I don't have a frame for it because I don't have a frame that's this big. So we're going to have to improvise, but I do hope you piece those don't mind. So, let's get right into the video. Let's gallop into the video. Nay! 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 Can you tell I have had quite a bit of fun with the making of this video? I haven't been on YouTube for a little while. I haven't wrote any blog articles because the last three weeks, I think, have just been a tad bit crazy, from me having a really awful migraine to like other boring stuff you probably don't want to hear about, but that kind of, I feel like I'm trying to play catch up, so I hope I can like feel caught up and start releasing blog articles and YouTube videos regularly again. But anyway, let's talk about this painting, this illustration, because I felt like I was channeling my inner illustration as I made this colorful fantasy painting of an animal character. a made-up animal character, actually. This fantasy painting was actually inspired by Pokemon, and I felt like doing this because Pokemon turned 25 last month, and so I created my own creature for this fantasy watercolor painting, and Pokemon has a very, very special place in my heart. I know quite a few of you P-Stubs probably don't know this about me because I don't normally talk about it, but I have been like a Pokemon fan for like the longest time, like maybe since I was 5-ish, because I remember watching it on TV. My first exposure to it was the anime dubs. It was not the video games. I didn't even know they had video games until I was like a lot older. I want to say maybe 8 or 9. Because back then I just thought that they were a cartoon, and I enjoyed it. And I feel like I've been thinking a lot about my artistic inspirations, and I feel like I can't really just say, oh, well, this one artist amongst like a sea of artists inspired me, because I am heavily inspired by like things around me, stuff I've learned throughout various art history classes, various books I have read, both art history and just honestly children's books, and the media I consume, which growing up, a lot of the media I consumed was like video games and cartoons. I'm actually terrible at video games. I still play them. Okay, well, I don't have time to play them anymore. I really don't. So I don't play them as often as I used to, which honestly wasn't very often. But yeah, I'm not good at them. However, I realize now that I'm older, I have like registered into my like artistic brain so much video game data and inspiration, because I was watching someone play Super Mario. This is like the Super Mario Maker game or whatever. And I started to realize how much those like backgrounds are so recognizable in my head, and the bright colors, the odd looking creatures, Mario's big nose, just things like that. Because I realized in making this painting, I just love that weird fantasy sort of element in video games. You can tell, obviously, that I tend to play video games that have a lot more bright colors and more fantasy or sci-fi scenes to it, compared to like video games that are more inspired by reality, like first-person shooters and whatnot. But I loved how in Super Mario, because I grew up with like both the Nintendo Mario Brothers and like the Super Nintendo Mario Brothers. And one thing I kept trying to get my brothers to see was the fact that in the backgrounds, like all the clouds had faces. There were hills that had faces. There were really weird things that had faces. And my brothers, they just didn't care. They really didn't pay attention to stuff like that. But I did. And like, I just could not get over the fact that the hills had faces and the clouds had eyes. Like, I just, And so I feel Pokemon, when I say Pokemon having a special place in my heart, I feel like it more or less really impacted me as an artist, because when I really was getting into drawing, because I've been drawing my whole life, I just basically never stopped. But I went through quite a big chunk of time where I would draw just Pokemon because I loved the creatures. I loved how each creature was different. I loved how each creature had its own behaviors and its own environments, and the anime in particular, each episode would basically be about a specific Pokemon, and whenever new Pokemon were discovered, they would each get their own episode. And I always liked the fact that you get to learn so much about that Pokemon, even though that the behaviors in the anime are a lot different than the behaviors in the games. Like I said, I didn't really know that as a kid and stuff. And so I started, I want to say when I was in the 6th grade, I started to create my own creatures that were, I don't want to say inspired by Pokemon. Like, I was inspired by Pokemon, like, as a concept of, like, creating this world with a whole bunch of creatures. So I was making my own creatures. But it was my mama, she encouraged me to start making my own creatures and my own characters because obviously she was looking at it from like a business perspective. Even though I was like 11 or 12 at the time, she still would tell me, like, if you want to do art and stuff as an adult, you do want to create your own stuff so that you can sell it. Because, you know, fan art and stuff, I mean, it's a bit different now than it was when I was younger, but companies have the right to say, oh, you can no longer make fan art, or they have the right to do like a trademark takedown notice and stuff. And I know companies, depending on the company, they tend to not do that because fan art promotes their business. They've realized, and also I think like people on Twitter will try and cancel them or whatever if they were to do that, but it's still very much a gray area. And I personally don't really like thinking about stuff in like a gray area because, you know, I am a business owner and I know how hurt I would feel if someone were to take any of my creations and designs and make profit off of them with like no permission from me, or if they were to like trace something and sell it and stuff. And so like I get it. You want your to make sure your work is protected. And so I created these creatures. I don't have the original folder that had like the bulk of them, but I do remember the concepts. And however, I do have a sketchbook where I put in my best designs. This is like the oldest sketchbook that I own, and I am so glad that I kept it. Even though all the drawings are really bad, I am so glad that I kept it because last year I flipped through it a little bit and got to the part of the book, which is like towards the end of the sketchbook, where I saw all of my creatures that I made, and I just started crying because, like, these were things that I made before I even knew proper drawing fundamentals. Like, this was because art to me has always just been like fun. I never took it as like I have to learn how to do this, or I have to learn XYZ in order to get good. And it was always just fun to me. And maybe it's because I have a hard time staying focused, but I just, whenever I felt like drawing, I would do it. I also know I have quite a few notes where I would just draw all over the margins, especially in math class because math was hard. But I say all this to say that, like, when Pokemon was turning 25 this year, I was just like, wow. Because, I mean, whenever people create things or create companies or write books, they never think, oh, well, in, 5 years, and, well, maybe not 5 years, in like 10 years or in 25 years, this is going to be like a mega $1 million industry, which I'm pretty sure Pokemon, like, makes a lot more than that. If I remember correctly, Pokemon makes, like, around the same amount of money as, like, the Star Wars industry, which is really, really high. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. I am pretty sure that they didn't realize that Satoshi Tajiri didn't realize that this is like that it basically went viral before going viral was a thing. You know what I mean? And I love the fact that they have been celebrating each year. Now, I don't have the latest video games, because when I was graduating high school, that was around when the 5th generation of Pokemon came about. So, for those of you who don't really understand Pokemon, every single time they create, like, let's say 100 or so new Pokemon and release a series of games to go with it, that is called, like, a new generation. So, when I was graduating high school, they had just released the 5th generation of Pokemon or whatever, but I didn't buy those games. I know that's bad. I didn't buy them because I hated the fact that they removed the Pokemon following you feature. I know that's a very petty reason to not buy those games, which fans now say those are like some of the best games ever, which is weird because I remember when those games came out and people then were saying that they hated the Pokemon that were released in them, but now it's being regarded as like some of the best, main series games. But Pokemon fans are like, just, I don't really know how to describe it. Anyway, so I didn't buy those games, and then like the generation after that, they like went 3D, and I didn't have a 3DS. I only had a DS Lite, and I was in college by then. I had no money. I had no time to play video games really and stuff. And so I kind of like trailed off the Pokemon bandwagon for a while. In fact, anything after the 4th generation of Pokemon, I only vaguely know, whether it be because I saw it on like an online battle or because of the cards, which the cards have really been helping me to like reintroduce myself to all of these new Pokemon. But anyway, I say all this because I don't know where my art would be if it weren't for things like Pokemon being in my life, or like the other anime I looked at, or the video games that I would play, or the children's books that I would read. And I still do read children's books because those art styles are just like, wow, it is amazing how many illustrators there are. And so the fact that Pokemon is 25, like, that is like a really big thing, and I think they celebrated it beautifully. I know I was playing Pokemon Go a lot during the whole month of February, really. I even caught like quite a few shinies that I'm super proud of, by the way. And so I just like that is not a small feat, because I can tell you, as being a small business owner, like being able to say, well, I have had this company for X amount of years, like that is like a medal to wear, because there's so many companies where the owners throw in the towel for whatever reason, and so to be able to say that you've basically created a 25-year-old empire, that's like, it's not easy. It is not easy. I know Pokemon has gone through quite a few blue periods, but I still I still love it, even though I'm not really heavily involved with it. I still love it, and I think in terms of me being involved with it, I sort of became re-involved with it by watching the trading card tournaments that are on YouTube, because I used to watch like the battle tournaments um that they would televise, but I kind of got bored with those because it got to the point, this was like around Gen 7 prior to Gen 8 coming out. So the most latest iteration of games and new Pokemon. It just got to the point where I kept seeing everyone using the same Pokemon and similar strategies and move sets that I kind of got bored with it. Um, then I was flipping through. I have some really, really old Pokemon cards. Like, I think they're vintage now. Yeah, I think they're vintage cards now. And so I was flipping through my card book and was like, I see that the video games have continued, but what about the TCG games? Because I always, like, I know how to play, and I learned how to play when I was a kid, but I never had anyone to play with because everyone around me was into, like, Yu-Gi-Oh! And I didn't understand Yu-Gi-Oh! And so it was like a disconnect because my brother collected Yu-Gi-Oh cards and I collected Pokemon cards. Neither one of us knew how to play the other. And so I had all these cards and I didn't have anyone to play with. So I would collect more cards whenever I could, but those like card packs are so expensive. So expensive. And so I figured, well, maybe there are like people playing Pokemon cards on YouTube because I have that. They have the online card game. It's like a digital card game. Um, but it works just like an in-person card game will, except it's got like animations and stuff like that, and you can always find someone to play with. And so I was liking it, but I love that game, but it really is like a puzzle game. Um I haven't actually, played against like a real person. I've just been playing through the like AI or whatever, the fake players they have you start with, cuz I don't know anything about deck building or stuff like that. Um but I do enjoy it, but it really is like a puzzle game cuz I mean it just is. It's like the way that I have to stay focused, which is very hard, is the same way that I have to stay focused when I'm failing at a game of chess. And no matter how many times I fail at chess, I keep trying. Um, but anyway, I discovered that there is the TCG tournaments, and I was just blown away because I just love looking at all of these different strategies. I love seeing the Pokemon on the cards. And that just sort of what do you call it? It sort of just like reignited my love of Pokemon. Um, and that just, like, I've gone down different rabbit holes where I watch people make their own Pokemon fan games. I watch people do like Let's Plays of those, and the amount of like fan games that I have seen that legit just tell a beautiful story and uses every single Pokemon element to the fullest. It's just like amazing because it's like, how can I don't know how to explain it. It just, who could have thought that this is what it would turn into? You know what I mean? Um, but anyway, I say all this to say that this painting was inspired by the design of the Pokemon Mimikyu. I got to work on creating my own character, which made me very happy. So Mimikyu is a Pokemon from the 7th generation. And it became like one of my favorite 7th generation Pokemon. But my overall favorite Pokemon is a Pokemon named Goomy, which to this day I am very, like, I honestly believe that Goomy was created to capitalize on like the slime trend that was happening, but that's just my opinion. It fits the bill, but it's so adorable. Anyway, Mimikyu is a Pokemon that is kind of like a spirit. It keeps its real face covered under a primitive drawn Pikachu sack. This is said to derive from the story of El Bugul Nos, a story of a nice fairy spirit that is hideously ugly that all the forest animals avoid her. This makes her feel very lonely. So Mimikyu wears a sackcloth to look like Pikachu, as Pikachu is the most popular Pokemon. Which, I just think it's kind of cool how Pikachu became the most popular Pokemon, even though originally it wasn't supposed to be the Pokemon mascot. I could talk about Pokemon for hours, but I'm not going to. Okay, that would make this video way too long. Anyway, this was the only way for them to no longer feel alone and have humans and Pokemon actually befriend them. But if you do see a Mimikyu without the sackcloth like that covers it, you will get very sick and die. Yeah, so that's pretty morbid. And I have seen people play like fan created games where like there's a Mimikyu character and it's like a very intense scene, and Mimikyu like, you know, reveals it's what's under the sackcloth, and the person like just dies. The person like gets petrified or whatever, and it is kind of intense. So that's why it's kind of like a phantom spirit in a way. And I think the typing is like a ghost / fairy or something. But anyway, I am pretty sure Mimikyu became lonely because they kept unintentionally like hurting people, you know? The Pikachu sackcloth helps them quite a lot because, you know, loneliness is difficult. It can just, like, loneliness sucks. No one likes to be lonely. And the fact that the Mimikyu species, sort of created a way of survival from that loneliness, I just think that's pretty cool. And of course, I think, I love this Pokemon because it is very misunderstood and is a misfit, much like myself. But I also think I was drawn to the Pokemon design because it is so unlike other Pokemon designs. And it just, because it's like a sackcloth that's holding up a wooden tail that's in the shape of a Pikachu tail, and I just kind of feel like that's sort of like a found objects. I made a found object sculpture when I was in college, and you know, with my cardboard art that's a part of my premium collection, that sort of, you know, takes, you know, the found object concept and everything. And so I just really like that. I also think that it's really cool that they did that because it is playing the fact that they're aware that Pikachu is like the most popular, most recognizable Pokemon, and Pikachu has become like a pop culture icon. And so because I'm pretty sure that the 7th generation came around when Pokemon was turning 20 years old. So it's cool that they, you know, use that concept and made something that, you know, is like in response to that. Because like, from what I've read, I don't think Mimikyu like actually likes Pikachu, but as a means of survival and as a means to escape the loneliness, they dress up as Pikachu. There was this one game I was watching someone play where this girl, she's like a little naive. She had a Pichu, which Pichu is like the smaller form of the like Pikachu line. And so she had a Pichu, but the Pichu goes missing, and then so you, as like the person playing, have to go look for the Pichu, but you end up not finding the Pichu. But she says she found it, and she's like, the Pichu evolved into a Pikachu, but it's a Mimikyu, and so she doesn't understand that that is not her Pichu, and the Mimikyu gets mad at you when you try to tell her that that is not your Pichu, but she legit loves the Mimikyu unconditionally, and it's like the cutest thing ever. But everyone around her knows that that is not your Pichu. That is not even a Pikachu. But I just thought that was the most hilarious thing ever. Because it's like, whatever happened to that Pichu? We don't know. I don't know. Anyway, before we get into the next part of my blog, I just thought it would be cute to insert me battling this tech equipment that I got.
So I did that. So, but that meant I couldn't. Me filming unboxing it's cheaper, but also you're giving it a new light so it doesn't go into the bin later. So that's for my microphone. I need to untangle some stuff. I got two of these things, and this is the brand, by the way. Actually, everything's gonna look backwards, so probably just wasted your time by showing you that. It'll all be linked on my blog. Not sponsored, not affiliate. Okay, so this one already has the white filter on it. So I just need to slide the white filter into here. How do you get it in there? Oh, sorry, my chin is touching you guys. Oh, I see. I see. Okay. Good thing I saw that before I made a mess. But, it's just... Oh. Okay, so tap goes out. Oh, sorry. You can tell, I'm not really used to YouTubing still. But that's okay. We all have to start somewhere. Okay, so it looks like each light is their own separate unit, which that's very good, because sometimes you don't need both lights. You know, sometimes only one wants to chill out and relax. You know, and the other one's just like, you know what, I'm gonna help you work. You know, so. And it looks like they have these little switches. It's a dimmable, ooh, my face is disappearing. It's a dimmable light. You can't see that. But it's got the switches to dim it, up, turn it off, turn it on. And of course it's got the filters. I'm gonna just keep the filters in this. Oh wait, it's already in the bag. Oh, never mind. Okay, so it looks like this can move up and down. I wonder if it can extend like a tripod. So let's, and so it should, this butt part should be able to attach to this. Probably should have did this before I extended it, but here we go. I actually do have a tripod. It's not a very good one, but it came with my DSLR. So, I mean, I'm not complaining because tripods I discovered are really expensive. So I do know how to operate a tripod, and I do know the makings of a tripod and stuff. And so I guess I can tighten it. Yeah, there we go. So tripod technology is not that foreign to me. This. How do I tighten it? Oh wait, it's got instructions. Turn right and push up. Pull and turn right to lock. Oh, I unlocked it, it looks like. Okay. Let's just turn on one, because my friend is calling me, is gonna call me in like a couple minutes, so. Let me, and I need a little, whatchamacallit to attach here, but this looks like I can screw this onto this ball joint, and screw the ball joint to the tripod. It's right here. So I gotta work a little fast, because I have IRL friends who I have been dying to speak to. So, IRL stuff takes good priority in my life, for obvious reasons, but also because of the plague that's going on, so. Probably should have screwed this onto the tripod before I propped the tripod up, but, you know. Okay. And then you can turn this little doohickey so that it can move around, and then you turn it so that it screws on back in place when you have it at, like, the perfect angle. But let me screw it onto this tripod. I don't think I need the tripod up this far. Let's just put it like that. Now I can't see it, though. Okay, that's some frame. Okay. I still don't know what some of this other stuff is for, though. Okay, and then I think we just screw it on, like so. Almost there. Wait a minute. Oh, okay, hang on. I'm gonna have to screw this back on. How did I... Oh, fudge. Hang on. Okay. I'll have to tighten that in a little bit, but we're kind of going on a bit of a crunch, so I'm not being the most organized person here. Well, when am I ever organized? Like... Okay, so now I need one of those little AC dongle things. I have one or a few over yonder. Just have so much stuff over here. Everything's falling. I'm glad y'all can't see my little chair over there. Oh, I do have it on. See, this is the cord for my selfie ring light. I'm like, are you kidding me? So let's take this. Have I ever told y'all about all of the tech stuff, headaches I have to deal with as being a business owner? Okay, so now,
Welcome back. So now, let's continue. Fantastical story behind this night fantasy painting. I decided to start making short stories to go along with my art. Well, art pieces where they aren't based on an event that happened in my life. And I just thought this would be really cool because I am trying to tap into my more creative side, my creative writing side, because my mama always told me with all of the pictures that I would make, she always said that I have a very storybook quality to my art. And I told her, well, I don't really know how to write. And she was like, the stories will come to you. You just got to give it time. And now there's some things that I'm working on behind the scenes that I can't talk about right now, but I think the stuff I'm working on has really made me want to tap into creating like stories, because like when I'm creating the artwork, it normally is just like a series of decisions that I make and that I change based on how I feel. But the overall finished piece, whenever I take a couple days of not looking at it and then come back to it, I'm like, yeah, there is something here. It's not just, oh, look at how cute this is, let's hang it up. It actually does have something to say, you know? So I really hope that y'all enjoy this sort of change. I don't really see, in terms of like art YouTube, I don't really see people who do this sort of thing. They normally talk about why they made the decisions that they make, or it's like a tutorial, and I have done the whole why I made the decisions that I make or whatever, but I don't really know if I'm going to continue doing that, because I feel it can be quite repetitive, and there are just so many people that are much better at like tutorial stuff than I am. And from what I have read on like the comments of like these other much more bigger YouTubers, is that unless you're like an aspiring artist, you're not really interested in all of the technical know-how. Which you P-stubs, y'all are interested in my art, but not really in that sort of sense. And I feel that by providing y'all with footage of me creating this stuff, I feel like that's a really good step in showing y'all my process, even though I'm not directly saying it. But I just thought, I'm just trying to be different, you know, but different to where it relates to my brand. And I don't really, I don't know, I just don't want to be like repetitive with my decisions of me being like, oh, and here I mixed red and yellow with a little bit of blue to make this reddish, brownish, orangey color, and I painted it over here because, you know, I just don't really want to do that. But I do want to share like stories that have been created because of these things, because I have quite a few concepts in my sketchbook where I just write down like a short sentence about something and then I draw it out. And in fact, in a future video, an article will be about one of those concepts as like a finished thing or whatever. But I just really hope that y'all enjoy this story, because I enjoyed writing it, and I think this will push my blogs and stuff in like a more positive direction, because this is something for like you guys to enjoy. It's not just me documenting my life. It's like here's a little bit of entertainment for you. So, without further ado, this story is called A Trip to the Moonflower Forest by Blessing Harrison. Sprinkles and Adaila from the Star Forest felt very hungry. She was exhausted from a full morning of collecting insects for her insect castle empire. Adailas normally eat insects, but Sprinkles doesn't like to do that. She likes spending time with them, as they always have so many stories about their fun travels from one part of the forest to the next. She doesn't have them held captive or anything. She just allows them to stay in her makeshift insect castle. Well, she calls it a castle, but it looks more like a hidden moss cave. Sprinkles journey to the Moonflower Forest to get some food. Moonflowers are delicious. They taste just like juicy plums. Throughout the forest, they come in all colors, but Sprinkles prefers the reddish-orange colored moonflowers. They bloom in all sorts of directions, but they are most noticeable due to their crescent moon shape. As Sprinkles looked around for the most vibrant moonflowers, a small fish squirted water at her. He wanted to play. Sprinkles doesn't speak fish, but she decided to entertain the little guy by making her fake unicorn horns dance in the wind. Nay! 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 Sprinkles greeted the fish. The fish enjoyed how her ragdoll yarn bounced across her fake sackcloth head. He was none the wiser that wasn't her real head, and that those aren't real unicorn horns. Excuse me. He had no idea that she only has one eye at the very center of her body. Sprinkles is sure he just thought that was a strange fur pattern. She grinned silently at the thought. After a bit of play, the fish swam away with his family, and Sprinkles began munching on some juicy moonflowers. She even took some home for dinner. So that was my story. Yeah, it is very short, but I really wanted it to just have like a beginning, middle, and end. I enjoyed writing it. I was quite nervous about it at first, and that's part of the reason why this blog article is super late, because I was trying to release it last week and it just was not going to happen, because I edited this story quite a bit and I was just really nervous. I think, because unlike art, well, I still tend to be nervous about my art, but I kind of have a small network of art friends where we critique each other and stuff that I take advice from, or I don't, it's up to me. But I'm very nervous about my creative writing skills, because I've never really put my writings out there. So I have stories that I've written, never finished them, but they're somewhere. I have them, but it's just a little bit, so honestly, it's quite intimidating for me, I'm not gonna lie, because I'm just scared that it's gonna be ripped apart, and I'm scared that no one's gonna like it, but I have made this decision, I am sticking to it. This is something new I want to continue to do. I'm not trained in writing creatively, but my mama always told me about the storybook quality to my paintings. So I figured, why not use that talent? I really truly do hope you peace doves enjoy it. Oh, and my sister loved the painting I made for her. She named the kitty Berry, Berry, because he looks like a wild berry Pop-Tart. And I haven't been able to send it to her yet because I need to figure out how to mail a painting of that size. I mean, I know how, but it's just shipping's kind of ridiculous that I think I'm just going to drive down to where they live and just give it to her. She doesn't live too far away from me, so that's fine. But anyway, I do hope you peace doves enjoyed this, so back to you, Blessing, in front of the camera. Okay, so here is the painting all hung up. It's a little bit far away from my reach, but I hung it up next to my Snow White anchor. That is for sale in my store, by the way. It's from my premium collection. So, but let's do a bit of a pan around. I have this. It's in another part of my bedroom. It's not right next to my bed, like where I hung up my cat painting. But it is in my bedroom. My bedroom's actually really big, and it doubles as like my crafting area, though I don't normally create art in here because the lighting is it's not very bright. But now that I have my lights, I might be able to do more crafts in here. I don't know. But it also gets really hot in here sometimes, and I have the AC on, but I don't know. This room just kind of gets really stuffy sometimes. Though sometimes I actually do work in here. Like, I know maybe it was 2 or 3 summers ago I did a lot of work in here. But I was sweating bullets, so I don't really know. But I do utilize the space. In fact, this painting is right up above my, like, sewing area. That's for a different project I was working on. And this green thing is for those, little, I don't know what they're called, but I have a blog about it where I'm like making bracelets or something. Yeah. So this painting is very vibrant. Definitely more, I would pair it with something or like a series of something that has like a lot of blues, purples, and greens in it. Like green accent pieces, or what would be really nice is if you had like a small canvas and made it like this shade of blue and then put like in gold text something fancy. That's something that I would do. And so I have it hung up. Obviously you want to get it into a frame as soon as possible because this is gouache, but I don't have an 11 by 14 size frame, so you gotta make do with what you got. And I just think it pairs nicely with my Snow White anchor, but then again, the anchor uses a lot more neutral sort of tones, so it kind of goes with anything that gets put over here. But there you go. Let's do one real bit close up. I put ivy leaves in the background right there, and just trying to do everything I can to show off texture. And you see the fish and the moonflowers. Oh, and I love splattering, so this was fun. I don't really recall painting waterfalls before, so for like probably a first attempt at painting a waterfall, I think I did pretty good. But anyway, that's it. Let's zoom back out. There you go. That's how we hung it up. So thank you so much for watching me create this painting. I do hope you peace doves enjoy it, but I also really hope that you peace doves enjoy my little short story to go with it. I am just this sort of like this blog as well as my like YouTube channel and whatnot, I really am trying to make it so that it really becomes more like my creative corner, where I explore like many of my creative talents, whether it be like a bit of little performance art, you know, stuff that I do, but also like writing and art and, you know, just other stuff that I have going on in my life. I don't really want to like be someone that only does one thing, because I get bored very easily, and so I do like to try different things. And so I do really hope y'all enjoy that, and I just really hope to hear from you Peace Stuffs again soon. Please let me know if y'all like, you know, the audio. I finally was able to save up enough money for a microphone, as well as for some, oh gosh, they're so blindingly bright lights. And so my voiceover as well as this intro and outro are done with my microphone, but part of the video footage, like a good chunk of my video footage, was filmed before I got my lights and stuff, because all of this stuff came around the exact same time. And you'll see in the video, well, if you made it this far, you've already seen it, but I have like a little segment called Blessing versus Tech, where I'm like trying to figure out how to work these lights, because I don't really know anything about like proper YouTubing equipment and filming myself and stuff. I really am just kind of like trying to be as frugal as possible, because I don't really have a lot of money, but whenever I do have money saved up, I tend to spend it on art supplies. Or I just continue saving it up because I get scared if I don't have anything in savings. But I'm okay. I am okay. I'm not starving. Okay, I'm not starving. But yeah, so I have some new equipment that I spent quite some time setting a little bit of money aside for. It's not even like super expensive. I got pretty much everything I got it refurbished, and so that means it was used, but then they sent it back at some point, and then they used like old components to make it new again. I tend to buy tech refurbished because it's so much cheaper. But anyway, I do really hope you Peace Stuffs enjoyed this video, and if you love my video and you love my blog, or if you love both, it would mean the world to me if you became a member of the Peace Stuff Nest. The link is blessingvh.art/gimme. That's blessingvh.art/GIMMIE. Our link has changed since I last saw you Peace Stuffs on YouTube and everything. I hadn't updated in quite some time. One week I got very sick, another week I was really busy, but anyway, we're back. And last week that painting, this one over here, it actually took a bit of a long time, as you can see. But become a member of the Peace Stuff Nest at blessingvh.art/gimme. That's blessingvh.art/GIMMIE. You get an instant 20% off discount coupon on anything in my store. You also get a whole lot of other goodies that's listed on that page. So it would mean the world to me if you became a member of the Peace Stuff Nest. I hope to see you Peace Stuffs